An Oregon mother who once pled guilty to killing her 7-year-old son in 2021 changes her mind and will finally go to trial. 37-year-old Sarah Safranek appeared in an Ogle County courtroom Friday for her final pre-trial hearing. Safranek is accused of suffocating her son Nathaniel Burton at their Oregon home in the 400 block of South 10th Street. He would later die at a Dixon hospital that same day. In March, Safranek originally pled guilty and was supposed to be sentenced May 17th. But her attorney filed a motion to withdraw her guilty plea. Her trial will officially begin August 12th.